What's up, guys? This is Michael Horn from FatherHood Podcast. This story is kind of unique, and it was requested to be shared, and kind of been holding on to it, trying to find the right time. And I think I'm just going to release it now. So normally, when accounts follow my TikTok for the FatherHood Podcast, I normally click back on the user's profile just to make sure it's not some random spam account. And then if it's somebody that's a dad or they have some dad tags in their bio, I'll check out their feed and comment on a few things and just show some support. And I had a user follow me, clicked on his profile, just kind of scanned through it. Nothing really came about. I was actually at the gym on the treadmill, just kind of going through some stuff in the morning, and I got a message on my way home. I just want to share this with you guys. I think it could impact a lot of people. So the message says this: "Good morning. It's like God sent you to view my profile. I've been scared my entire life to share my testimony, but since becoming a father, I don't believe I was ever actually living it in the first place. I have two sons, 13 months apart. They're 2 and 3. I'm sending over a short summary put together with some help with AI, but obviously from the heart and true. I think just this story will help so many people, especially in this wheelhouse. If there's any other dads out there or parents that can relate, let me know in the comments or just give me a message. I think it's awesome that he reached out. I think it's awesome that he's willing to share a story. It's written in story dialogue, so just bear with me as I read through it. So the story goes: the 13th resurrection is the true account of a man who should not be alive, and the quiet truth of why he still is. Before fatherhood, before clarity, before purpose, there were overdoses, hospital rooms, and moments where life slipped so far away, coming back felt impossible. One resurrection began on the floor of a Walmart bathroom where an overdose left him unconscious and unseen, saved only by timing and intervention he didn't earn. Another unfolded in the ICU, where he spent 7 days with a toxic brain injury, unable to move, speak, or function. Doctors uncertain, family praying, the outcome unresolved. Against medical expectation, he came back. Another resurrection happened behind a locked door in an apartment, where his wife found him unresponsive. A maintenance man passing by at the exact moment let her in. That door opening became the difference between death and life. These are not told as shock stories. They are told as markers. Each collapse peeled away another illusion. That survival meant success, that willpower alone was enough, that life was something to endure rather than inhabit. The book traces 13 resurrections. Not all medical, not all dramatic, but each real. Some happen in hospital beds, others happen quietly, when a man realizes he is alive, but not yet awake. The final resurrection does not involve paramedics or prayer in waiting rooms. It arrives through fatherhood, through two sons who do not know his past in detail, but who know his presence, his hands, his voice, and his consistency. Children who do not save him by existing, but by watching him, forcing honesty where excuses once lived. The 13th resurrection is not a redemption fantasy. It's a record of survival with responsibility. It's about breaking inherited cycles, facing failures without disappearing, and choosing to stay fully and perfectly awake, because leaving again is no longer an option. This is not the story of a man who never fell. It's the story of a man who learned, finally, why he was allowed to rise. And he goes on to say, hope it's not too much for read, just easier to share a little bit in that format. I've been an addict my entire life, but when we got pregnant with our first child, everything changed. It's like an actual dream come true. There's nothing more rewarding or I got something in my eyes. There is nothing more rewarding or more beautiful or fun than being a dad. I cry sometimes just thinking about it. Tears of happiness and gratefulness. Fatherhood is true wealth. I wish everyone could experience the true joy. I'm not sure if I'm up for actually sharing my story, but I did want to share it with you. Literally something I prayed for. Have a blessed day. So I went on to tell him I would get his story out that week. That was January 20th. Obviously, it's past January 20th. Revisited that story a few times. One, I wanted to be able to understand it. Obviously, addiction and stuff like that is not something I've encountered with me. I've seen it through my mother, and I've seen it through some of my step parents that I've had over the years. I have a few guests that I want to get on here that can talk really about addiction. I think we all know somebody, if we look within our family or within our friend group, that has struggled directly or indirectly with addiction. And so I want to bring that to the surface, especially with dads and recovering addicts. And I've always personally, I've been so bitter to stuff like that. I've not always shed grace in those wheelhouses. Like, I've never been very empathetic to people with addiction. And so the more that I've done this podcast and have had conversations with different people, and they've talked about how it's impacted their life and how they wanted to stop but couldn't, and how it just took complete control. Like, I'm starting to understand. I'm starting to get it. I think my personal experiences have just left me with a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm excited to get a couple guests on that have overcame addiction. And I'm sure that that is a battle every day. If you have a story that you want to share, I'm going to put some stuff up here to where you can find us directly. The major one being the FartherHood podcast TikTok account. And that's the quickest way to get to us. And then we have all other social media platforms you can message us on, and our email. I just want to get on here this morning and share this story. It is currently 5:20 in the morning. I woke up about 3, and this has been on my mind. And so I feel like this is just God putting me in a position to share it today. I'm assuming that somebody out there is going to need this. I tell all my guests to sit here in front of me in this chair that you're here for a reason. I want you to know I commend you for your vulnerability, for your ability to even just share with me. I think is awesome. A stranger. I hope that FatherHood is treating you well, and I hope that everybody, the key players in your life, support you. And personally, outside of a podcast, you can reach out to me directly if you ever want to talk. I just appreciate people like you willing to open up and talk. And you don't realize what your story is going to do to somebody else. And that's what I tell people that sit here across from me is, when you come on this show, whether excited about it or reluctant, regardless what our conversation is about, the real reason we're here is to share those stories, and it's going to find at least one person. And your story may save somebody's life. And I hate to make it seem so, dramatic like that, but it's true. Like, there's somebody out there right now that feels alone in a space that maybe doesn't think that there's anybody else out there that can relate. And then they get to hear a snippet of your story, or somebody shares it, and it saves them. So when I ask you to share the FartherHood podcast content, it's because there's somebody out there that may need it. And if all it takes is us clicking a share button, how powerful is that we might share something that saves somebody's life? So I do appreciate you sharing. I do have the pictures that you sent me of your kids. You have a beautiful family. I wish you well, and God bless. Remember, everybody, go follow the FartherHood podcast on all social media accounts, and stay tuned for the next episode. Peace. One more thing. I love you guys, and thank you so much for the support. We're growing slowly, but I love it. And I appreciate all the love and support. Thanks.